All right. Let's see, we got all of our stuff together here. And looks like we're good. Right. Perfect. Well, good day, good day. This is another Success Talk interview presentation with Dr. Herbert Harris. And today we have one of my good friends, Faith Moore McKinney, who is just I think you've done so many things. You know, when I met you first, I think you were doing some acting and just amazing. So welcome to Success Talk.
Thank you so much, Dr. Harris. You are one of my favorite people. And when I met you, well, I met you after I saw your book, and you just blow me away every time I speak with you, every time I see your work. I'm so honored, just honored to even be in your presence, really, because you are just one of the great giants of our time. And I appreciate being on your, able to share my story with your audience.
Well, thank you so much, Faye. I tell you, like I said, I think it's a mutual admiration. When I was in Indiana, we had a chance to meet and talk, and I was just super impressed. And I said, you were one of those people I wanted to get back with, and because I know you have an incredible story. So maybe tell a little about your background, how you started out and how you got where you are.
Oh, wow. So, Dr. Harris, when I first saw your book, The 12 Universal Laws of Success, I even have it right here, my copy. I was really interested in how to manifest. I had no clue about what it was. I think I may have seen something about it on an Oprah episode back in, it had to be around 2006, 2007. And I really wanted to learn how to do that. And so I was, I guess, Googling or whatever you do back then. And I found your book and I ordered it and started reading it. And then I met you. I don't know how that happened, but we uh, contacted you and I found out you were the author of the book. That's what it was.
Yes.
And I found out you were the author. I said, wait a minute, I have this book. I've been reading it. Oh my, I mean, it's just like synchronicity and everything that you talk about. There's no accidents. And then you came to town and you were to meet with somebody that I had always wanted to meet. And so you took me with you.
Yes.
We were together and now we're still good friends as well. And it was just, it was, I can't explain it. And everything that you do is, I'm sure you live this, but that particular meeting and everything that came after that was just so textbook manifestation, textbook, all of that.
Yes.
But my whole intention of looking into this was to help my people, my friends, my family, even the African American community, not to be afraid of it. That was my whole goal. Even though I hadn't had any, oops, I'm sorry, my notifications are going off. Even though I hadn't had any real success at that time, I knew that it was real. And I knew that things like that happen for people on purpose, when you're manifesting. And I wanted to make sure that people weren't being told otherwise and giving their power away to something or someone without understanding that we all have that power within us.
Well, Faith, that's one of the key things that what I've been seeing over the years is that we are created with a basic power. We often say a child comes into the world with a clean slate, but a child comes into the world complete. And we have that power that we could do, be, and have anything we desire. But unfortunately, sometimes we come into a world where the people around us may not be on that level. It may be a traumatic experience. It may be a critical environment, but one of those environments where it's not encouraging, it's not uplifting. And so a lot of times those layers, it's like putting an onion together instead of taking it apart. And so many times we see people get in a situation where they come into the world, they have the power, but they're not sure. Number one, they're not sure they have it at all. You know, self-doubt is amazing. I think one of the I think it was Sojourner Truth, but one of the leaders of the Underground Railroad said that I could have freed a lot more people if they knew they were slaves.
Wow.
And so a lot of times people don't know the power that they have. And so that just the fact that you're seeking, you know, what there's a spiritual principle: seeking you shall find, knocking it shall be open, asking it shall be answered. And so we have to come, if the universe were a great well, we have to come with a cup of desire to pour into that well, to prime that pump so that we can get out. So you came with what you needed. You came with a desire to manifest. But tell us a little about your background. You've done so many things, you know, just so we can get a nice picture of you.
Well, because I knew what I wanted to do as far as being able to share, you know, my experience with manifesting, but I knew I needed to get out of my shyness. So I was acting. I took acting. I did a couple of films, and I also I took speaking, coaching lessons, all of the things that I needed to do to be prepared to present to others on camera or in person. I then became an interviewer, on-air interviewer, so in journalism, and finally a television producer. So I did that for 4 years, and all of this without a degree. There were no formal education in that. I interviewed people like Dan Rather. I even interviewed Mike Pence right before he was going to be the vice president. So when he was still governor of Indiana, I had no clue, but I interviewed Soledad O'Brien, just lots of people, Kirk Franklin, Lee Daniels, the famous director. So all of these people I was able to get interviews with, but I was building my credibility. And these are the things that I teach people now to do, to build your credibility so that you can leverage that to get on larger stages or more platforms. And so these are the things I needed to do in order to be able to share my success, like I'm sharing with you, because I had to visualize, I had to believe it, and I had to do it. And all of those things just came because I manifested them.
Yes.
And so many more.
Now, you know, when you talk about that, as you said, many times people look at limitations. You know, I have a friend that had so much incredible potential, but he never got a college degree. He never went to college. And if you talk to him, no matter, and I mean, he did incredible things, but if you talk to him within about 15 or 20 minutes, he's going to tell you, I never went to college, but I did all right. And that was like an anchor holding him, you know, and it seems that you may have had an anchor, but you broke through it.
Well, you know, so yeah, it feels to me that it still might be an anchor sometimes, because I feel like, well, maybe if I had have done this, or maybe if I had have learned that, but really everything that I need to learn is provided for me to move to the next step. So honestly, that is just something that I say now to myself, oh, I can do that. That's not a big deal. And then just do it. I can do that. One of the things I'm working on now is getting quoted in Forbes magazine. And so being quoted in media is fun for me. That's what I do for fun. So people pay thousands of dollars to be able to be quoted in Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, Bloomberg, and all of these things I did for myself. That was just really fun. And people pay me to teach them how to do that now. But it's just, hey, just an attitude of fun, an attitude of relaxed let's see what we can do. Let's see how we can make this happen. It's just really that attitude of, ease.
Yes, yes. Now you must have had a very big vision. Did you always have that big vision? When you were a child, what did you want to be?
Well, when I was 8, I wanted to be an interior designer, but at that time we didn't have HGTV, and so my dad he kind of talked me out of it by saying, there's no future in that, there's no money in that. Go to business school, and then after that we'll see. Well, then I went to I went to school, but it was like I don't know what I want to do. Everybody else seemed like they had their life set. They knew where they wanted to go, but what I wanted to do was not in the business realm. It was in the design and the creativity realm. And so I just took a different path.
Mm-hmm.
And but I knew that I wanted to be able to speak on a larger stage. I wanted to be able to present. I wanted to share.
Mm-hmm.
And when I found the law of attraction, the universal laws and all of that, I realized, oh, this is bigger. This is power. This is something that we have, and we can share, and we can live our lives this way.
Mm-hmm.
And it is sort of like what you said with that quote. People don't know that they're slaves. Heck, I didn't know I was a slave until I realized, oh, and Dr. Harris, it did start out with contests. So I started doing sweepstakes, and then I would visualize myself winning, and man, it just happened like that. And it only happened for maybe 6 months, but I won like 2 trips and cash, and just a lot of promotional items. But it was powerful. It was powerful. So it let me know that yes, this can be done.
Now that's a very interesting perspective, because I've read about people I know in some of the advertisement for the silver method, the silver mind control method. They were talking about a lady who had hit the lottery 3 or 4 times and had just unbelievable things happen. Now, what was it when you were doing, let's say, the contest? What was your vision? Did you see yourself on the stage winning? Did you see yourself on the trip? Or what was that process?
Yep. So one in particular was a television. How sometimes they give away trips on the news. The 5th caller, or we'll choose the names. Well, my name was chosen for one of. I saw my name being chosen for one of the first wave of I guess when you're eliminating a lot of people. I saw my name, and so until it was 5 of us, and then when it was time to call the name for the winner, what I was doing, I was on my way to work. I told my son, I said, Donovan, call me when they call my name, then I'll pull over and call the station to claim my prize. There was no doubt that that would happen. And gosh, 5 minutes later, I was driving down. I got the call. He said, they called your name, and I pulled over and called the station to claim my prize. And everybody else who heard that same television, they heard my name on TV, they were calling at the same time. Everybody, hey, they called your name. Hey, they called your name. Hey, you won.
Wow.
And yes, it was an 8-day all expense paid trip to Mexico. The VIP, it was beautiful. And it was just really, really like I visualized it, and no doubt I knew that. And other things happened. I visualized when I interviewed Dan Rather. I thought, wow, this is going to be crazy. This is going to be weird. I'm going to interview Dan Rather. I'm going to interview him. No doubt. Called. They said, oh, sure, come on down. You can get an interview. I had no real credentials, but I had access to this man and the videos on YouTube, and it's really great, just believing and sometimes thinking so big, or just visualizing so much that, not so much, but just feeling that, hey, this is going to happen. You don't even know how.
Now that's the key point right there. You know, I love to relate to biblical stories, and when Peter walked on the water, he was doing well. He was walking, as they say, he was skipping across the waves. And then he looked down at his situation. And spiritually, that means to look at a lower level of consciousness.
Mm.
And the moment he focused on the lower level of consciousness, that brings in the doubt, and he started to sink.
Yep.
And so what you're really saying is that when you have a vision of something you want, of a trip, you want to win the trip, you want the contest, when you have a vision of that and you hold that vision in your mind and you see it, and you doubt not. You know that scripture where Christ says, if you tell this mountain to be cast into the sea and doubt not, that if you believe, it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that the thing that undermines people's ability to manifest is the doubt that they can manifest. Yeah.
But each time I would say, I don't know how, but this is going to happen. And when I say, I don't know how, then it kind of gives my body a chance to release that need to know, in my mind, it releases that.
And that's the secret. That's the secret. One of the principles is don't worry about the how. It's like if people want to have a child, a man and a woman want to have a child, they know they do their part.
Right.
Okay. But as they say, not every one of them can create a heart, can create a lung. And so they do their part. And then the process, the how of creating a child is in the hands of the creator.
Mm-hmm.
But that same model works for us. When you desire that outcome so strongly, and when you got into the feeling of it,
Yep.
when there's a pregnancy, I often hear, I had a friend once, and he would have morning sickness, and we didn't understand. We were young. We were like, morning sickness, man, I think you're drinking something. He says, no, man, I can tell when my wife is pregnant, I get sick. How's that? Because it's all about vibration.
Mm-hmm.
And when you create that vibration, and don't worry about how it's to manifest, because the moment none of us has the capacity to make a child. Okay. But if we believe in the process, we know we do our part and the child will come.
Yes, I have one story. I had won a trip to California, and it was for a magazine, and we were going to have a photo shoot, and I had a lunch date with her name is Lisa Williams. She's a clairvoyant, and I don't know if she's a psychic, but clairvoyant. She could speak to the dead. She had a show on Lifetime called Lisa Williams' Life Among the Dead. And I started watching the show before the meeting. It was in California. We were, for our lunch, it was at a restaurant in the Renaissance Hotel called, the Twist. I think that's what it was called. But there was only 5 of us. It was the photographer, it was me, Lisa, the publicist, and maybe the waiter, maybe and cooks. But it was an empty restaurant. Mm-hmm. And so I was having a conversation with Lisa similar to this. She said, well, what is it that you want? And I said, I really want to help African-American people not to be afraid of this. And in my mind, I told her also, I said, I want to speak with leaders in the African-American community to help discuss this, to help bring it out so that people won't be afraid to use their own power. And in my mind, I was like, in the back of my head, I was like, girl, you don't know anybody who's famous or anything like that. Who are you going to talk to? I'm thinking Al Sharpton, Michael Eric Dyson, any of these people, because I hadn't spoken with them before. Mm-hmm. But just then, right when I said that, Michael Eric Dyson, who is a leader in the African-American community, walked in the door.
Wow.
I looked at Lisa and I said, wait a minute. I said, I couldn't even talk to her. I said, how did you do that? She said, I didn't do that. You did that.
Mm-hmm.
And so at that moment, I took note of the feeling that I had in my stomach, because sometimes I have like this flutter in my stomach whenever I kind of let go and things are kind of going to manifest, like that vibration, I guess. I don't know. But I
Mhm.
tried to take note of every sensation that I was having at that moment so that I could kind of recreate it, or I know when it's going to be recreated.
Yes.
And so I got my picture with him, and I didn't get a picture with Lisa Williams because we were supposed to have a photo shoot, right?
Yes.
The month our story was supposed to come out, the magazine folded, and I never saw our pictures. So
Wow.
I never got a picture with Lisa Williams. But
But
I got my picture with Michael Eric Dyson
nice.
because I had, like the camera, the photographer used my camera to take that picture.
Wow. Now
Yeah,
you
we
know
had
what? Now that's our listeners, and I'm so glad we're doing this interview, because one of the things I believe that stories heal people.
Mhm.
Stories help people know that things are possible, that their mindset, their environment, their frame of reference says, I can't do that. Like, I don't know Michael Eric Dyson. I don't know anybody famous. But when you have that feeling, that vibration, the universe confirms your feeling.
Yes.
The universe confirms your vibration. So when we talk about this power of manifestation, it's focusing on it to the point that you have that feeling,
Yep.
and to realize that you have control of it. Sometimes luck is one of the, I dislike that concept, because luck makes people overlook their power. People are so often so happy to say, well, that was just luck, and you don't go any further. It was, but if you say, hey, that happened for a reason. What was my state of mind? What was my vibration level to make that happen? And so many times there's subconscious things going on that you don't even know are going on.
Right.
You know, you,
Right.
you have that dream deep inside that you buried your dream. Sometimes people bury their dreams so deep that only the seed remains. But that seed is vibrating. Faith, when they opened, I went to Egypt with Dr. Ben, and we
Mm.
actually went into King Tut's tomb.
Wow.
And they were saying that when they opened the tomb, what was that, 2,000 years later, there were seeds in the tomb, and when they put them in the soil and put water on them, they grew.
Wow.
And so many times our dreams are buried in us, just like those seeds in the tomb of doubt. But you access that by your belief. Wow. Mm,
Well,
mm,
at the time I was like, I was feeling the feeling of this is what I really want,
mhm.
and and it was so internal. It was like it gave me a feeling in my belly, and I felt like that might have been my total whole truth.
Mhm.
And it's like everything just came together just then. I mean, it was not 30 seconds later. I mean, it's like as I spoke it
Mhm.
came. That was amazing.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's hard to tell anybody this, because and that's why I'm so glad we're having this conversation, because I know you understand, and I
Yes.
know that you recognize it for what it is. And I just my goal is to help people understand, don't give away your power.
Yes.
I'm still learning, but I've seen some really remarkable things happen.
Well, Faith, many times the best thing that we can do is just be an example. Sometimes we try to seek out people who need our help, who need our assistance, but we don't know who needs us.
Hmm.
We may speculate on, I want to go and I want to preach to the masses, I want to do the healing and whatnot, but we don't know who needs us. And that connection takes place when you just send the vibration out there. Like you're
Yep.
saying it. Somebody's gonna hear this and they're gonna say, man, that lady could do that. Michael Eric does. Walk in. And one of my teachers once said that, as a matter of fact, when I worked for Reverend Ike,
Hmm.
and he was saying that they were talking about Lazarus, and when Christ, he dealt a lot with spirituality, and he said when Jesus said to Lazarus, rise up, get up out the grave, he said that Jesus' faith in the process was so strong. So he said that if he had not called Lazarus by name, all those dead people would have gotten up.
Wow.
Okay. Excuse me.
It's
So,
okay.
so you have that power to manifest. You have really internalized it, which is key, and you utilize it. You act on it as though it is fact, and you create that which you want to manifest by focusing on it, by believing in it. The master teacher said, your faith has made you whole.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that? She said, if I could just touch the hem of his garment, I'll be all right. Had nothing to do with Jesus. He said, your faith has made you whole. So your faith has given you that capacity to do incredible things. I know our time is coming to an end shortly. So you've shared some powerful thoughts. I think these thoughts are going to heal somebody. And as we wrap up, I'm sure there were obstacles in your life. How were you able to use this power, this ability to manifest, to get beyond some of those blockages, your Goliath moment when there was something standing between you and that thing that you desired? Did you ever have that experience?
Oh my goodness. Of
Yes.
course. But one of the things that I really wanted to do was make a monumental difference in the world. And I was sitting at my computer just like I am now, and I said, Lord, how can I make a monumental difference in the world? What is it? And just like a lightning bolt, I got an email from my cousin who said, hey, do you know anyone who has no high cholesterol, no high blood pressure, and willing to donate a kidney? And I said, oh, that is me. That was a monumental difference, because 20 years earlier, I had received a cornea. And I said, I've always wanted to be able to give from my abundance, just like the family of that young boy who was able to donate his cornea to me. And it was like literally a lightning bolt. And I said, that's me. And my cousin's husband, we weren't blood related, but it was a match. And so I was able to donate my kidney, and he lived for 7 more years without dialysis. His heart finally gave out, but the kidney was working fine. I got that sense of gratification, like, oh wow, this is, they say giving is better than receiving, and it definitely is. And it was amazing. So many great things have come, and I know that I can go to my grave knowing that I did help someone. I did change a family's life. And that's really what I wanted to know.
Wow. Well, Faith, I mean, I had no idea of that. Now, that's why when our listeners listening, you're going to say, now, that lady was committed.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're committed. So as we wrap up right now, is there any final thought you'd like to leave our listeners to? I thank you for using the book. I thank you for sharing it. And I'm grateful that it was a tool for you. So any final thoughts before you wrap up and go to your next,
Yes.
elevation?
My next meeting. Sure. Yeah. If they want to reach out to me, if that's okay. And I have my book Schmingling. I don't know if you can see this. Let's put it right there. It's the art of being well connected through blatant self-promotion. And it has a lot of the principles that you talk about, as far as, visualizing and seeing yourself in different places and different situations. But yeah, my website is faithmckinney.com. Please feel free to reach out. I'm always available, always happy to talk, always happy to help.
Well, Faith, you have dropped some diamonds.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Harris.
You dropped some diamonds. One day I was saying, when you're in a club and when you drop the mic, when you've done something phenomenal. So in the church, when you've done something phenomenal, take up a collection. So, so today, I want to thank you, because you have shared when you talked about your kidney, you have shared a power that you knew you had. Okay. that you had faith in your ability to use it, and that you have used it to change lives all over the world, and that you were so committed to that power that, as they say, you could give a kidney, and that's powerful. Thank you so much. We're going
Thank
to do this
you.
again. You
Yes.
keep up your great work. And just remember this, our closing word is always, the best is yet to come. So
The best
let's
is
say
yet to
together,
come.
the
The
best
best is
is
yet
yet to
to
come.
come.
And so it is. Thank you, my dear. Have a great, magnificent day. Thanks for being a guest on Success Talk.
My pleasure. Bye-bye.